the new year 2024 of the community education program of Green Farm, and we try to start to conduct the content in the international version of that, which is much easier to me to don't need to transfer all the knowledge from the international standpoint to Vietnamese standpoint, and so a lot of wording and vocabulary I cannot transfer. All right, let's get started and let's see what we have today. Well, when we wanted to go with something personal, uh, and what we call in Greenify in this program we call personal development. And I think we go through a lot last year about a skill set, about the psychology. But today I want to say something much more collective, and actually it's something we use a lot to see others and to perceive the world, to observe the event. It's called the worldview. So we all use that words a lot now today, but we don't really completely understand it. So we try to articulate the meaning of that, and I see how deep we can go to understand the worldview. And of course, we're going to have a course related to that, and let's see how it's go. All right, worldview. Actually, we go deeper to really study about a worldview, and I just realized that actually is based on a lot of philosophy standpoint. We see the word up here, right? The German word, Wesensschauung, is basically is a word of worldview. And it was coined out actually by Immanuel Kant in the Critique of Pluralism, and he wanted to use that word as a meaning a comprehensive perspective of the world, which means everything you see as the world it is. And then, of course, Hegel and Wilhelm Wildefeld also expand the same idea, and so we have a little bit of agreement in the philosophy approach in here. And of course, when the father agree, the son and daughters be okay with that. So we have sociology, anthropology, history, theology is all agree with that. Except we have some disagreement among Freud and Jung about in psychology about that, but we can talk about it later because this is not external development course. So we just want to understand that the origin of this word is based on a philosophical viewpoint. And in the modern world, not today, we don't go that deep. We just go a little bit practical, pragmatic. You're going to see that in the postmodern worldview and integrative worldview, which is based also in the foundation of globalization. Now today, we see that a little bit of the pragmatic and a little bit social constructivism approach of knowledge. And we see a little bit holistic and unified kind of knowledge that we see the reality when they say we had a view of reality a little bit different. And the collective knowledge of this, it really resonate in the different each individual perspective, which is constructed by the life story, by the educational foundation, by the biological ability, which is really different among all of us. That's why the worldview in the ground standpoint could be more basically on that. So basically, when you have different knowledge, you come from different expertise and experience in your life, come from different state of your life, might be a different culture, different gender, different way of thinking, even different language and way of reasoning the ideas. You basically have a different worldview. What case you can explain it, simplify. I have it here. Actually, I have a really good sort of the study about a worldview, and it's called Worldview Journey. Um, that model is based on this website. The thing I'm live the website that you do have the test to see how worldview you are, how diversified you are, how it can be practiced in the real world, and how you can understand other people's worldview. And the second part of that, it do provide a lot of learning event and research tools because you know that I realize the knowledge, which is scientific based and do have a systematic way of explaining and finding. And of course, science do have limitation, which is really resonate with the real knowledge of thing. So this website, I believe, is one of the most clear and comprehensive standpoint we can have to learn about the worldview in general. And click on this. There's a good thing of this, the scientific way. So they do have some kind of really simple definition of worldview that talk about how people explore, exchange, expand the idea and how they make sense of the world. And what I can say up here, right? Historian Richard Thomas, worldviews create worlds. And there's a way they explain things is really simplified more than the way the old philosophers explain a bit. And they do have the test, and they have the big question, which is really easy to approach, but it's still a little bit challenge on this. It related to the other course we want to go deeper today. This one is from the ETH, the Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. They do have an initiate called DRRS, and they launching an online course in EDX. It's called Worldview from Sustainability to Regeneration, which is really match up with the ideology we have in the Greenify, the nonprofit about sustainability. And this course really provide a systematic view, and I say that we can connect with something bigger and something we expect to have in this type of program. Before that, we can now see a little bit of the DRS initiative from the ETH of Zurich. All right, so this is the website. That DRS is abbreviation of the Redesigning the Resilient Regenerative System. And they do have a great resource and outcome up here that we provide to people. And one of MOOCs we have in edX, one of this. And this whole initiative is working on to provide the general worldview and changing the whole way our society approach about sustainability and development. If you know, we know that Sweden and Zurich is really go big on this initiative of sustainability, which is we want to spend more time to study and to engage with this program, and we'll see the mapping of that after this. Okay, come back to the course. Here the course look like. The course, they break it down the topic pretty clear to understand. The first one is about the global crisis with the local interventions, which is a little bit more the context of this study. We see here resilient primer, framing next crisis, community skill, root causes, and call to actions. This one we'll spend on for another day. This one is try to transition a little bit about the sustainability ideology to the mental models of that, a little bit of science touch, and toward the regeneration ability of the community to make this happen. Our focus today is this limitation of this video. We focus on this part, 1.3, the worldview, and it's just pretty huge too. We can click on this to start to see it a little bit. We understand in general, basically, worldview, this is how we view the world, right? That is really a brief way we explain it. It could be a set of fundamental beliefs and model of the way we construct ideas and how we forming the information and how we interpret it in our brain, in our mind, understand it, and also helping us in coding and decoding during communication process. We see that we used to talk about the communication skills, intrapersonal and interpersonal. So intrapersonal, from person to other person, from person to the world. So of course, you got to use the worldview about that. So this worldview, you see that is related to philosophy of life, related to psychology, related to social structure, related to anthropology, cultures, language, critical reasoning, and experience. A lot of things happen with this. But we're going to see that how this course could be try to break down a little bit and articulate it, right away. Understand it, this got a worldview. But not one way understand the worldview, but the core idea of this course, they try to expand the worldview of us to see that how we can develop a worldview that including sustainability, Blackfoot wisdom, and inspire Maslow hierarchy. Well, this part is interesting. So, Blackfoot is basically the name of the tribe that Abraham Maslow, the psychologist with this hierarchy of need, which is classical, but not really practical. And they have to inspire, and they believe that they have inspired from the 60K way of life during his 6 week stay in the Blackfoot Reserve in 1938. So they can see a little bit of social hierarchy and dominance when they see when he observed the high level cooperation, minimal inequality, restorative justice, and overall life satisfactions in the community. And then after that, they have some uh, blog writing about two Blackfoot scholars and researcher. Yeah, they sound really like tribe scholar, Ryan Heavyhead and Northside Blood. So this is a story of Maslow when he was 30 years old, come to 60K along with two friends, and he tended to testing the idea of this theory that has some social hierarchies maintained by the dominance of some group of people over others. However, he did not see the dominance in Blackfoot society. Instead, he saw the level of cooperation, minimal inequality, restorative justice, full bellies, and high level of life satisfactions. And he estimated that 80 to 90% of Blackfoot tribe had a quality of self-esteem that was only 5 to 10% of his own population. Okay. And he just lastly just saw the place and he started to call out the terms of self-actualization. Yeah, he totally changed his mind because he started seeing the top of the hierarchy is not a dominance, it's actualizations. Okay. And the word of self-actualization is not exist in Sixika language, but a close word in Itapi, which is means someone who is completely developed or who has arrived. Well, this term is really sound like philosophy terms that we do have. Pretty close with Übermensch from Nietzsche. And yeah, completely developed is the terms Übermensch. Pretty close. Completely awake, find out who has arrived, you know. See some archetypes in cross language and cultural. To most of the Blackfoot members, wealth was not important terms of accumulating property and possessions, and actually giving it away was brought the true status of prestige and security in the tribe. Right. At the same time, Maslow was shocked by the meanness and racism of the European Americans who lived nearby. Well, now you start to realize that is the most challenging of the Maslow hierarchy. That is, it cannot work with a different culture because the majority of his population is white dominant and college well educated young men. And then now he pop up the highest term from a different group of society. Well, it's kind of different the way they do science back then. All right. So I have Blackfoot don't have a model of the worldview like Maslow, but they can create the illusion below. So this is the hierarchy that we see at Maslow on the left side. Go Western. perspective. With the Blackfoot people, even they claim that they're not really one we compare to pyramid, but they do have some foundation in here. With the Blackfoot people, they start from the self-actualization, and then they move up to community actualization. The last one, I believe, is cultural perpetuity. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. They explain the self-actualization. The self-actualization is the top of Maslow pyramid. And they compare Ryan the Heavy Hat. I've got a scholar in this article. Compare that in Western cultural. You earn a degree, you pay tuition, you attending classes and at a mastery of your area of study to become some sort of self-actualization and delivery some kind of value. But actually in Blackfoot cultural, it's like you are already credentialed at the start. You treat with dignity for that reason. You spend your life living on that. Why Maslow saw self-actualization is something to earn. Blackfoot see it is innate, so you was born with that. That the human nature, the humanistic value. You're born with that. We all respect other human being. You already self-actualization when you was born in that type of society. Okay. All right. So this thing is something beyond what Maslow can see. The Blackfoot giveaway, and they call it they can illustrate it as the community actualization. Okay. Okay. Some kind of different tribe. They do talking about they don't have the word of poverty. The closest thing that they have explanation for poverty that's to be without family. So poverty is not about the property, money, materials, but it's not have family. So that's also challenging when you see it, the different ideology, different worldviews shaping by different languages, which is hard to transfer. The proof of this two totally different cultural. And that's why the Western study like what Maslow have cannot apply for other cultures, cannot apply for a different time frame. And what he has it is a set of conceptual to organize to make sense. And Ryan Heavyhead also talking about the corporations and the relationship to place, which is Maslow entirely omit in his theory. He missed about indigenous relationship to place. Without that, he is looking at that self-actualization doesn't actually happen. Yeah, there's a reason people are critical of their tribe, but you got to live with them forever. Yeah, so this thing is a bit conflict of individualism. Yeah, because the Western ideology that's going to be self-actualization, you become a complex self, achieve a higher sense of self, in return to become a strong, independent individual, the highest form of individualism. But self-actualization of the Blackfoot culture, it's just the beginning. Everybody was born that way. But the but what if the thousand of people around you was born already a self-actualization type? Then you gotta move up in higher level, which is community actualization, which is a group of self-actualization individuals sharing idea and sharing the connection into the place they was born, which is some sort in the form of a collectivism we have in the Eastern world, but the collectivism we have in Eastern worlds is something a little bit unnatural. That's why it's a little bit dehumanize the people to forcing to action, like a group action and collective action, then the way they think in a Blackfoot tribe, which is everybody we treat with dignity and respect as a value individual, and then they actively give up the sort of value to become the community high value individuals. Well, we see, like, for example, you in the prestigious rich country that everybody in there is rich. So they value already. Of course, materialism cannot work with this value, but we try to make some metaphor in here. That individual already rich, and they give up their money, which is not make them low down the status of rich people, but they still contribute with something bigger than the individual rich status. This is the whole nation rich status, and this is the community actualization. But what happened if that individual is not rich? He was born poor, uneducated, being slave, and being malnutrition, cannot have enough thing to eat, cannot live their life freely as they want, and now they're being forced in the tribe, and they gotta give up the limited resort for something bigger, but not really represent the value of the collective groups. So that is a little bit difference. This highest form of community actualization is come from the value individual, and that value individual give up their value, willing to do it, to forming something bigger and benefit for the whole is a community value. Different is a group of struggle underrepresented people with limited resort gotta give up the limited resort, even their lives, their freedom, to the bigger things this may not represent for them. So that is a little bit, it have the same representative, but in the core, it's different. All right, and let's see what the top tier of Blackfoot people looking for. So they're looking for something higher. That's called cultural perpetuity. So they're forming the culture, basically. All right, so when they think about the actions, they wanted to get a term that is going to be impact for 7 generations, which is mean that when we want to do something, they got to think about the consequence. It will follow up for generation to generation to generation that they don't even know it exists, but they know it out there because they strongly believe that the culture and the community would live forever even without them. All right. Another critic about a Maslow who did not fully situate the individual within the context community. Yes, of course, you're not. That's why you cannot apply with a strong community-based organization or culture or society. All right, another critic of the self-actualization theory. That is, self-actualization is not enough equals salvation. Okay, so we cannot understand the term isolation. The good of other people must be invoked, as well as the good of oneself, solid altruism. It's quite clear that fully into psychic individualist psychology without reference to other people and social condition is not adequate. Well, basically, you cannot achieve this sense of actualization with just yourself. You need others. All right, and they give another suggestion to remodel to be circle, not triangles. They claim that the physical need is not always primary. Sometimes people can still seeking for something higher, even they not start with enough food and nothing to wear. It's happened for the idea of dying for country. For example, as man and woman fight in the time of war. You recall the idea, keep talking, critic about Maslow, that is cannot apply during the wartime. That people willing to sacrifice their basic need for something bigger, even bigger than self-actualization. Could be the center community actualization. That is the dying country. Country is like a big forming of community. All right, circular model. This is a new model. I look like it. Have a cognitive sense, have physical sense, which is the bottom, right? Have a spiritual sense, life purpose, belonging and relationship, emotional and cognitive. This circle they go together and depend on the situation, the other we need to be subject to change. We have a hierarchy idea because most of people cannot satisfy the top. It's from 80% bottom, 85% until 10% at the top. That's why we want to make it in the top. Well, not really the empirical study, then structural theory. Okay, why haven't we heard about the Blackfoot worldview before? Honestly, the first time I heard about this theory too, even I know that Maslow hierarchy is not really a good thing to follow up. So look by Maslow, I don't want to reveal the Blackfoot worldview because he's concerned about evaluating Sikha teaching. May dismiss the validity of the idea he put it in. Well, not really a good force thinking. Okay, you mentioned Galileo, right? About you finding a publicity. Yeah, people upset with pyramid making to the top, so they don't want to believe that we live like a circle and we have no top. We harmonize with each other. No, nobody believe it. They don't want to believe it. That's why the Maslow hierarchy is still alive until today. All right. United States, the greatest country in the world. Right? Despite the fact that uh, what fight with us? 2018. Okay. 1/4 US household experience food insecurity. Not sure about that, but pretty close. One four of 10, 4 in 10 Americans can afford $400 emergency. Well, I think the most updated information is 67% American cannot afford $600 emergency. So I think it's worse. Richest 0.1%, like 200 times more of 90%. So a huge gap. 40 million in poverty, not that much. Because we see in last year by the graph of the nation that is the United States, they don't have extremely poor. Yeah, they have a little bit of poor, but not extremely. The 40 million might be not right, but we're pretty huge with the population of the United States. One of the most unequal nation in Western worlds. Not sure about this too, but they do have the high inequality. All right. Do some writing at the top. Wealthy, less generous than underclass. Not really an empirical study, just opinion on in the magazine. Okay, waking up from American Dream. Okay, sound like opinion. Okay, all right, not too bad. So the idea is expand the horizon of thinking, expand the worldview. Whatever you learn in school, maybe not right. You just don't know the other side of the story. Okay, Eastern philosophy. Interesting. This part talking about the self. Western Rene Descartes. I think before I am. So the Western view about the self is representative.
or the individual entities in running the thought and action that the Western world. Eastern philosophy, they have Buddhism in here, that it itself is an illusion. Okay, so that a little bit contrast with the Western perspective. All right, Buddhist fundamental tenet is anatta. This means no self. Contrast with notion of the fixed self of Rene Descartes. All right, they're tracking out the start the writing for the big things. One of my favorite block because they really have the big thing people in here, not an educator only. It's really a scholar, a huge impact. Well, let's see. Sign agree. There is no self. I read this thing already. Kind of complicated, but it's not really uh, difficult to understand. Basically, we understand the concept of Western philosophy. It's a self. You control everything. But the Eastern philosophy, like Buddhism, and so they quoting for different type of the religion too, which is Taoism. Do we have some of those? Advaita Vedanta, the Hinduism also had quite idea of those. They keep blaming on the idea that the self, the ego, or me thing is just a fiction. There's no such a thing. But the Western worlds where the I, the ego, is something go really deep with Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung. So what they do? Well, accidentally, when the modern neuroscientists starting tests, they reveal that the left hemisphere of the brain create a narrative to interpret the reality, leading to a mistaken identification with this self-narrative. So, what the neuroscientists said is, they're nothing as a self sit out the central behind the left hemisphere and right hemisphere of the brain. The brain is just few confused of interpretations, and the left brain just make up some kind of wording and inner voice or the calling something, and we thought that with the self, but it's not. It's just a left brain, which is not really persuasive for the general speaking of the world because they want to believe in fixed worldview that we have the self. But well, there's the only controversy. And let's see how far it's go with it. But at least we know other side of the worldview. Wei Wu Wei. Well, have a warning. The Taoist. Why are you unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything you think and of everything you do is for yourself. And there isn't one. All right. Never heard about this quote before. Not sure the source of this quote, but we still critique a phenomenology in here. That's just if you give up the idea of the self. So whatever you do for what? Well, a little bit controversy up here. But a worthy thing to read. Mixed up of philosophy, psychology, and religion. Interesting. They have a lot of follow-up writing about the self. The East of the West. Self doesn't exist. Talking to yourself is good for you, even you have no self. Well, that's what you gotta pick up the choice. Do you want to have self, or you don't want to have self? If you don't have self, what you gonna do? That when you have the big worldview, you gotta consider. All right, I come back with this. Scientific literature of the worldview. This part is funny part. And they show up the whole study of Harley Fitzpatrick in Oslo. It's usually some meta-systematic review about all terms related to worldview of all studies so far. And she did showing up the transition from the worldview from disconnected with nature to connected with nature that we can see in here. Pretty easy to understand. Okay, so this is the first concept. Why we need worldview? Yeah, what we see, general speaking, is right here, up here. Visible, simple, concrete. Newspaper, social media posts, things come to you, informations, news, the word people say, instant events, accident, war, peace. shaking hands, all like that. But underlying of this, they have the invisible complex abstract of that. For example, when a social media post popping up of the beautiful woman with 1,000 of filters, we don't see the invisible complexity abstract issue of that. Why she got to use a lot of filter, and why she needs to post it, 2 or 3 posts per day about herself, which is not really look like her in the real life because she have the 1,000 different filter on that. What a complexity abstract issue down here. Why do you need to do that? They explain for her behavior, which is invisibility. Instant event, the same thing. Posting the picture is unreal up there. We see the patterns, which is a lot of people do the same thing. We see the similarity, we call patterns in science. And then we go down there, you see why we have a set of different patterns. Why? They do it in Facebook, we do it in Twitter, they do it in Instagram, they do it on TikTok. We see a lot of patterns on different platforms. It's going to the system. So systematically of the social media, leading to people behave with the same patterns, posting, updating something unreal. For what? Okay. And then to go down the system, that platform will go to structurals. What structurals is the platform of social media. Is that the same structural with a society? And the way that people posting thing up there is unreal. It's just like the lavish lifestyle and exaggerating and lying people doing now today in the real world. Is that they have the same patterns, working on the same system in their brain and working on the same structures, something that I consider. And then we'll deep down the deepest philosophical ideas of things called worldviews, mental model, values, belief, assumption, what happened with their mentality, the value they have of the fake picture they posted in, the belief that that fake picture will bring in them the attention of the group of people. Some had some like button or heart button is representative for the real love, and assumption that it follow up with them to control the behavior. And this is how the layer of the idea and worldview always down here. And then we're showing up the change of the worldview. They do have people try to oversimplify everything. They call them reductionist. Yeah, cut off everything. I don't care. Just simple. Everything you want is money, right? Get the money, you done. I don't care. I'll give you a plan. I'll give you a handwriting note. Yeah, to make it simple, just get you $100 cash. That's it. So that way you distant human in nature. And then we gotta come back on oversimplify a thing into materials, into something more holistic worldview, beyond the sustainability. We try to reconnect the human to the broader web of life, which is other type of life in the form of plants, animals, planet, and the futuristic idea of next generation as a Blackfoot people think, 7th generation. And then with the reconnected into the holistic worldview, we got to have the diverse understanding of different disciplines and culture. And then we got to zoom out for the shared concept of the differences and zoom in with the differences of us as individuals that we got to acknowledge. So we got to expect to have the worldview can be zoom in and zoom out, flexibility. That gives you an understand the majority, same concept for all of us, 8 billion people, and also understand the difference between each individual, even that is your parent or your son or your daughter. Okay, I think there's only one map. This is the collective map, but with 6 domains that she collect ideas from the all literature review. Can go move forward. It's hard to see it. Here you go. This is thing of like APA board style. Well, it's go pretty clear terms that we use in science. The contrast of human nature and nature connectedness, which is a contrasting terminology, which means we disconnected on human and nature, which is this part. Colonial, Western, mechanistic, modernistic, all kind of terms. Individualistic, rationalistic. dominant Western worldview, sorry, Western. Okay, support terminology, which is ecology, indigenous, environmental, holistic, new environmental paradigms, egalitarian, eco-spiritual, and biocentric. These two types of different terms we see collectively in the academic world we use. And this is how we transform from the separate from human and nature into connected. We started working on this ideology worldview, on this side. Well, that is scientific conceptualized ideas. We go from pragmatic, traditional, modernistic, technocentrism, transition into egalitarianism, transformative, which is the thing I normally use, holism, seeing things as a whole, right? Integrative, connect everything, post-secular, which is something higher than the physical world, but I don't like the word secular, but it's related a little bit to religion, which is not really prefer. Integral, inclusive is more about the cultural and subcultural, try to connect everybody culturally. Ecocentrism, which is from the technology, we focus more on ecology, which is all kind of life form, what we have in Greenify. Okay. All right, we talk a little bit deep about the scholar thing up here and some gaps you do. Okay, this is boring scientific things. Well, all right, this circle might be important. Activating cultural questioning, which is something we try to do in this community education program since the beginning. I think it's in the beginning of the course related to the history of philosophy from Socrates and Plato's and others. We start with questioning the world, questioning the reality. This cultural questioning, kind of same thing. We try to bring up as learning cultures, which is heading by Edgar Schein in organizational development too. Basically, the idea is start questioning that part of culture. First, currently, we're in a cycle of non-reflexive knowledge production, which is we're unaware of our worldview and how they inform knowledge. Okay, you say you have a worldview, but how do you form a worldview? How do you form your worldview? You form a worldview by the realistic reasoning knowledge, philosophy, sociology, psychology, ethnicity, and teleology, or you just forming the knowledge by school and book and what people say and fake news and your assumption. And then we stay in the circle of like understanding other people worldview and the diverse form of knowledge. So we think that we read a lot of English material of science, and we think that we're holding the highest form of knowledge of the Western world. When we go to Eastern philosophy and Eastern culture, we realize that the whole different within what they think up there. And roughly speaking, more than half of a civilization and population live in the Eastern now. But you got to better change your worldview and understand other people's worldview and how they form it. They don't normally form from knowledge, from what I call formalized knowledge based on formalized or publicly system education. They might form by experience. They might form the wisdom. They might form the tradition. The traditional thing of civilization in the Eastern, like Chinese, Indian, or even Vietnam, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, which is they have a lot of wisdom laid out in the history, and they just try to dig in to understand the greatness of the elders. There might be something you got to think about. That science is not everything. Science and philosophy is just a way of thinking, systematic of knowledge, way the forming some knowledge. But they also have different form of knowledge too. Spiritual knowledge, which is I'm not really a religion people, but they do have people like that. Okay, so we don't want to get out of this circle. We need to jump into this circle, which is the keyword is reflexive, which is first continuous questioning of what define our worldview, and then holistic reframing of our worldview to adapt a new context. So keep questioning of your knowledge, epistemology, and then gather new context and adapt it by the holistic reframing worldview, which is gather more patterns in the worldview and structures to expand it to understand the complete whole systematic worldview. This is the idea. Okay, what would she have? Chile fast fashions. Okay. Yeah. Chile is growing into Atacama Desert of Chile, one of the world fastest growing dump site because of fast fashion, like Cheyenne and the cheap brain we have now today is make the whole desert become a dump site because they make too much clothes. It's where two times go break apart, tear apart. And what you do, throw it away. Where they throw it? We throw it to Chile, which is pretty bad. And that's also the effect of the global issue. Something happened on this side of the world, impact the other side. Okay, agri-forest system and knowledge type. Pretty interesting. That is showing on the ideas. All right, interview, not interesting at all. Landscape management. Map to view the world, which is one of the biggest takeaway of this course. And the DRRS. Just have the real map that you have you from an Euro-Western centric view to the world at the Eastern and Southern view. Different angle from the landscape, like biological, social, migratory, population emission, density, collaboration, circularity, financial, and other landscape. And this is, you can click on here. I think this is done. Okay, here the map. Why do you need this map? To have your open eye and see the world at a bigger size. This is 19 different map. Bioregion. Okay. High plan and plan vs language. Bioregion. Bioproductivity and language. All right. So that's a lack of road, a remote area. Have to maintain the biocultural diversity. So no road, there is still diversity, which is good for them. They still can preserve the cultural, remain a relative isolation from mainstream cultural, and they still preserve the traditional knowledge and the ecosystem they live in from the Africa and north of South America. All right, what do you have in here? Okay. Central Asia. Mapping. Okay. Supply chain map, river and watershed. Earth, ocean, currents, soil, and vegetations. Okay. See the green area, the planning. SIP forest. Okay. Tree cover maps. Wow, so it's emptiness out here in Australia. Biodiversity. Highest diversity right here, South America. Right. 3,436 species. Higher diversity of birds. Just birds. Without a doubt of the bird continent. Okay, minority language. What it does. Choose sign continent. So it's a map spread out, might be look a little bit bigger, but actually the sign compare with Africa. Yeah, Greenland, Canada, United States, not that big. Russia, not that big. Population density. See how density in here in northern India, Bangladesh. Okay. Century or sign, the live population. War atlas of night sky, brightness. See this one growing light. This all darkness are here. Well, some of the most light polluted countries in the world is Singapore, Qatar, and Kuwait. Light polluted, too much light. Okay. Plastic pollution, huge dangerous. See that Asia, Vietnam right here. How terrible plastic it is. Well, it's not only about Vietnam releases themselves, but it's also about the flow of the river and the flow in the ocean also bring up a lot of plastic outside this area. Okay. Even plastic waste transport downstream by the river. Yeah. So we use that even if other country on the top rivers using it and it flowing downside to the country with with long coastal. They gotta take that things. Okay. Nanoplastic deposition. Well, see this China really extremely high. United States, the East Coast, Europe, have a really high nanoplastic transport. Impact both the human and ecosystem health. Like carbon emissions. Okay. Refugee and climate change migration. Okay. Sediment network evolution. Climate finance tracking, which is the finance world they use finance to invest. Okay, let's see. The majority invest 70% in renewable energy, solar power, electricity, 16% of farming and farmers and crops, and other. Okay. They're based on US-based climate relevant company and non-profits 5 years. Yeah, could be seen in Crunchbase and Candid. Crunchbase is a platform for investment in the private sector, and Candid is one of the major watchdog in the non-profit sector. Let's see that. Okay. Social collaboration network. Okay, tourism. Okay. Navigation, the map. Okay. Here it is, alumni network of this DRRS. Not bad. And this is a referral. Okay. So I guess this mapping will be the end of this worldview, and this will be the quiz. Understand what the worldview concept. General speaking, it's just expanded way of thinking, concerned more about cultural, different, system about the area, demographic kind of thing. So this course actually pretty huge, and they cover a lot of the ideas that we need to deliver in the program at Greenify. So we're gonna come back with the course, like something about reframing complexity, which is related to which is a pretty interesting part. I follow up the complexity science and chaos complexity theory in social science. And also related to the other side of system thinking, which is a pretty good skill for personal development too. Warm data and AI regeneration. complexity and decarbonization, which is something we can touch in sustainability study course in other course. And we have in here design as nature-based design. It could be related to sustainability development. Generative economics might be something related to non-profit. MIPE and movement. This thing, MIPE action and inner development. Normally, okay, leadership. See that. Normally related to philosophy and external development. So external development of Greenify might be work on a little bit more about basic idea of philosophy. Is something they're working on. All right, so that pretty much is. We just go with worldview today and how diversity is and complexity it is. Hopefully working on other bullet points soon so we can wrap up this course. And of course, anyone can jump over it and finish up the course. Also welcome. Just let me know what we need to do and what topics we need to cover next. Thank you.